What up, guys? Welcome back. To Lockdown Universe. Welcome back to Lockdown Universe. Man, I gotta tell you, I loved this band back in the day. Eiffel 65, late 90s. This band was awesome. It was so much fun to listen to these guys. I don't know if they're French. I don't know if they're American. I have no idea. But they definitely had the auto-tune rock and roll. I'll tell you that much. And they definitely had the hip-hop going. And they just had this... They had some meaningful lyrics. If you listen to what they're talking about, not bad. Not bad at all. So, what are we talking about today? Crazy stuff going on in the world, and apparently there is a video out there. There's actually a couple videos, and they're actually pretty funny. If they're a joke, if they're real, it's kind of sad. Of a Bigfoot being picked up by two blacked-out helicopters and being transported in the air over the state of Georgia. Is this real? Is this just fake? Is it AI? Well, I found it on TikTok, and then I found a couple other videos on TikTok, and I don't know what to think of them, but all I know is that there were reports of us capturing in Kandahar a giant that was like 15 feet tall, that was red-haired, that was really forced to be kept quiet by the government, and they lifted that guy out. But as far as I know, they lifted that guy out in a net, and then they carried him over Kandahar. They weren't carrying him over Georgia, so we didn't have American video. I mean, they probably would have had, some dudes out in the desert getting video of that, but we didn't have video, back then, 2008, too much. Not a lot of people had cameras like that. So let's examine this. Let me try to pull up some video here, and we'll see what we can make happen. All right, let's go deeper. Let's see what we can find out. Okay, so on TikTok, there's a couple videos. One of the videos shows a man driving, and it was posted 5 days ago. Let's see if this is the right one. Yeah, this is the one. This is the one that I saw. There's another one, but I don't. But it's somebody doing it secondhand. So let me show you this one, and you can. There's not a lot. You can see the helicopters. Okay, that's fine and dandy. You can see them carrying what seems to be a rectangular item. What it is, I don't know yet, but I'll show you this video. It's only a minute long, and then we can kind of expound upon it after that.
Guys, dragging the helicopter.
So there's two helicopters.
Wonder what they're taking.
Here's the item right here. So they slow down the video, and you can see there's a long body-shaped object right there. What is it? We don't know yet. So let's take a look at footage from another individual. So let's go back one and check this out. This is crazy. Look at this picture.
Lasted only a few minutes.
The fuck, like, that's how we protocol.
So check this picture out. Look at this. He's dangling by his feet. So they're carrying him upside down with his hands to the ground. Now it makes you wonder, okay, it looks so ridiculous that it can't be believed, right? But if you think about it for a second, why would they tie him up by his hands so that he could easily get out, right? If he was tied up by his hands, maybe he could like wiggle out. If he's tied upside down, well, they might have something there. I'm not a transportation of aliens expert, nor do I claim to be, but there's got to be a better way than tying him up by just his feet and carrying him from Georgia probably to like Wright Pat Air Force Base in Ohio is where a lot of black ops contractors have stated that they've either tranquilized or killed or captured Bigfoot and had them transported. Could you imagine living in Ohio and having the thought that, hey, we got a Bigfoot or family of big feet just in this Air Force base. It's not too far from us. I mean, that's mind blowing right there. But to capture him and then dangle him upside down is almost comical. Well, it is comical. I would imagine that they would wrap. I mean, if they didn't have a net, if they didn't have an appropriate, equipment with them, they could have tied up his feet, tied up his hands, and then made some sort of makeshift rope. What's the word I'm looking for? One of those things a hammock, kind of like a hammock net, so that, or net, that you could just carry him on and then take him back. You'd want to cover him up, right? A little bit. I mean, with some sort of disguise. Why would they just leave him here? This is kind of why I think it's either somebody having fun with us, somebody that made it with AI, or something else, or it's a different faction of the government, because we have Michael Herrera, who stated that while he was a Marine in 2008 in Indonesia, that he saw a craft piloted by another Black Ops team totally separate from him as being a Marine. They had no clue they were even stumbling upon their operation, and they saw this UFO. This UFO was capable of transporting Ford F-350s, beefed up, super equipped, and those things are big, and that'd be as big as a Bigfoot. You could transport those things easily on this huge UFO, like not trapezoid, but like hexagonal type UFO craft that they had. So why didn't they take one of those out and pick him up? Well, if it wasn't them finding out that Bigfoot was out there and they sent out the Army out there, or the Rangers, or some other military branch that wasn't using UFO technology, doesn't have it on their arsenal, then they have to send out what they have. And they sent out choppers. So could this be real? It could be real. It's definitely possible. Is it comical he's hanging upside down? Yeah. Does it make logistical sense to hang him upside down? Well, he'd be passed out probably from the blood pressure. There was a video, we were watching this the other night, of a woman who was getting rescued in the desert, and they had one of those boards you put under people, when you transport them in emergencies, one of those, strong boards, and then they had wrapped her to that, and then they had her on a single line attached to a helicopter, and they were trying to pull her up as the helicopter was taking off. Well, apparently, when you have one line going to one person tethered, and you start having rotor wash from the rotors of the helicopter, what ends up happening is the person starts spinning. They spin into oblivion, and that's exactly what happened to this lady. And she was spinning like a fucking dreidel. And it was horrible and hilarious at the same time. And I was like, there's no way. She's just instantly dead. She's like 74. I'm like, there's no way. She's spinning like as fast as you can imagine spinning. I mean, faster than any carnival ride or Six Flags ride. She's spinning like spinning a dime, spinning a quarter, flicking it as hard as you can. Well, she came away with minimal injuries. So, is it possible for them to dangle this dude and have him survive? Yeah. But would they want to risk having everybody who has cameras on their phone now just taking video of this shit? Would it seem almost comical for them to do it? Yeah. But maybe they had to get him out of there. There's this other school of thought that says there's a lot of big feet in the world. Not just a few, but there's a lot. And they hide in groups. And certain groups are good and certain groups are not so good. Certain groups cause a lot of problems for local villages, local townships, local cities, and they have to be dealt with. There was another Black Ops individual who came out and stated that they had to go into North Carolina and the mountains of West Virginia to hunt down a group of rather violent Bigfeet. That there was being calls made into law enforcement, that there was all kinds of violence in the wilderness. They were injuring people. They were being very aggressive with traffic. They were slamming their bodies into cars and stuff like that. So this elite group went out to go hunt them down, and they did. And so the theory is that, and what he said was that there's certain groups that are violent and certain groups that are not violent. We're not going to go after them. We're not going to go try to hunt them down and track them down and do anything about it because there's no need to. But the ones that are violent, we got to take care of, And so maybe they tranquilize this one. He's not going to be moving for a day or two, And so if you put enough horse, elephant, minotaur tranquilizer into this thing, he's going to be sleeping for a while. So maybe they did transport him like that. Maybe they had to get him out of there. Why didn't they do it at night? Well, maybe this thing was so violent, so aggressive, they had to do it during the day. And, well, they caught it. Think about the movies just for a second. I know movies are movies, but think about this for a second. You ever seen Hellboy? And in Hellboy, they capture Hellboy on camera. They actually get him on film, and they put it into the newspapers, and they're like, oh, look at this. You can have this good of footage and put it in the paper, and people still wouldn't believe it. You could have Hellboy show up, start signing autographs, and people still wouldn't believe it. They'd say it's a person in a mask. You could have Bigfoot show up to a wedding and try to scare the shit out of everybody. And you could say, oh, that was really good special effects. Oh, somebody must be friends with George Lucas or Lucasfilm or, somebody who makes monsters. We're in an age now that is very difficult for people who are into ufology and for kids that are going to be growing up in this time period where AI, you can make anything, and it just doesn't matter. It's just everywhere. It's omnipresent, and so you can make crimes, happen out of nothing. You can blame people for things they didn't do. You could create Bigfoot. You could create UFOs that weren't on film. So, the days of innocence are over. The innocence of taking a shot with a Polaroid of a UFO in Belgium in 1989 during the Belgium flap with all the triangular UFOs and the beautiful pictures that came out of that. Those days are over. Those days were innocent. Those days were beautiful. Those days were, if you got a great shot of a UFO, it was hard to do, but if you had it, you couldn't argue it. It was unarguable. Nowadays, you got Bigfoot hanging up by his feet. Just take a look at it again, because that's just humorous. Being carried away by two helicopters to Wright Patterson Air Force Base, and people could say it's AI. So I don't care about AI. I'm not going to, waste my time thinking about it too much, because the stuff that people put out, if they put it out, it's a story. We're going to talk about the story. We can break it down. We could try to interview the people that put a film out and see what they have to say, see if they're believable and seem trustworthy based on their story and based on their repetition of telling the story, which is a cop tactic. But it's an interesting one. Even if it wasn't this, even if it wasn't Bigfoot hanging upside down, and they just saw a long piece of like a rectangle, right? Like almost like what would be like a coffin or a carrying case. That's happened as well. There's been times where helicopters have carried carrying cases of things and brought them, states away. These helicopters fly fast, man. They fly over the country all the time. I look up and I'll see some Chinooks here and there, and they'll be gone. They're loud as shit if they're double propellered, but if they're single propeller, they're a bit more quiet, and that's what these guys are. So they might be able to hide themselves a little bit better. If you're flying a Chinook, you're not quiet. Those things are beastly loud, and you feel it in your bones. So these guys could be a little bit more quiet, a little bit more silent. They can carry pieces of aircraft. You wouldn't know what it is. Just a piece of of metal hanging in the air. You don't know what it is. There's been people who have taken film of what appears to be a UFO being transported on flatbed trucks all across America, and people still don't believe that it's real. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, it's right there. It's right in front of your fucking face. They don't give a shit, and you still don't believe. You know, a lot of people still don't believe. We believe. But what do you think about this?
The whole encounter.
What do you think about this? This is really interesting. Like they said, the whole encounter only lasted a few minutes. I'll let you see this one here. Come on, play it.
Lasted only a few minutes.
The fuck, like, that's how we,
This guy can't
that's
believe
the
it.
protocol? All right, gotta get this motherfucker out of here. Okay, send Stan in with the helicopter.
Right.
What the fuck? I don't know.
Yeah, he can't believe it. Look at this guy, the way he's hanging here. It's
You
just,
won't believe what a helicopter
it's just
spotted
wild.
recently.
So there's only really 2 videos of this right now. One from the guy, and well, there's 3, and one from from another lady who's pretty big into ufology, and she makes a lot of UFO or alien UFO videos, but it's not a lot of these out there. So I think examining it, seeing what comes out in the next few days, kind of like that Miami Mall incident. As the days pass, the more information comes out, and then we can get a little bit deeper into it. So we shall see. But in the meantime, I'll let that be, and we'll see what happens. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I think that, we're at 17 minutes. I mean, we could talk about this for a while longer, but I think when we talk about Bigfoot, we really have never had a story where he's been carried by a helicopter out in the middle of the day. So this might be one of those really rare instances that we got lucky with. Moving forward, will we get lucky again? Maybe, maybe not. Seems like these guys are really good at sending in these black ops teams, making it quiet, and getting them out in the middle of the night. But for whatever reason, they had to get this guy out during the day. Maybe, just maybe, he was like in a really close area to a lot of population, and they had no choice. Sometimes they have no choice. They gotta get him out quickly, or they'd have to cover him up and keep people away until the nighttime. You know what I mean? And then you run the risk of him waking up if he's still alive, and you tranquilize him. So there's a lot of risk. But anyway. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I'd like to hear what you have to say. I'd like to hear if you guys ever had a Bigfoot experience. There's a lot of them out there, especially in Oregon, Washington, and then you go over to the other coast, West Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina. You get a lot of stories out there, Virginia as well, and even Pennsylvania. So really interesting stuff. All right, guys, take care of yourselves physically, spiritually, emotionally. Follow through on your hobbies and your goals and your dreams. And as always, continue to question the universe around you. Until next time, lockdown universe out. Peace.